Hey y'all, I know I talked about my passion projects the other day, but I also forgot to mention I am still watching anime in case you don't read my blog and read my reviews about it. And it is Black History Month. So, in addition to the passion projects I'm working on, I said, why don't I try to find me an anime to watch that is centered around a black character or has a mainly black cast or something like that to review? It was not that easy trying to find one, but I found one. Luckily, I found a few actually. And the first one I wanted to review was Afro Samurai. I watched it today and I really liked it. So, Afro Samurai is a seinen, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, which is primarily directed towards men, like young men and men's audiences. And I can see why, immediately. It's pretty bloody and pretty violent, and it's got a fair amount of sexual content in it, so it's definitely not for kids. And I can't see like a ton of women being into it, but it was pretty interesting. So it was just mostly for adults. And it's the first anime that I've watched that focuses solely on hand-to-hand, like martial arts combat. All the other animes I've watched so far have had it in there or had like a lot of weaponry, but this was definitely just like fighting, which I know men like to watch. So one thing about Afro Samurai that I didn't like was I'm not used to the darkness and the gloominess of how it was illustrated. It was like made in really dark, foreboding, shadowy colors. But it does make up for it because the show can be pretty funny. And that is because of the star of the show, who is Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson, he plays Afro Samurai, and he also plays his best friend, Ninja, who actually turns out to be like just his imagination. And you find that out by the last episode. I honestly think Samuel L. Jackson is like more than both of those characters too, but I'm gonna have to double check that before I say so. The premise of the show is laid out clearly for us in the very first episode. Like a young Afro samurai and his father are out, and his father in battle gets killed and he gets beheaded. So Afro Samurai, after he grows up, he spends the whole show on a journey to find and avenge his father's death and his killer. And all the episodes, they do like a back and forth between the current day and then how he grew up, where he grew up, who he grew up around after his father was killed to become who he was in the present. And really, I think it also serves to explain why he is the way he is, which is like kind of one note, is pretty vengeful. The real personality is in Ninja, which I guess, I don't want to say is his alter ego, but maybe it's like his id. I don't know. Okay, y'all. So we know no story is complete without a love interest, right? Afro Samurai is no different. In Afro's case, it's a lady named Okiku who pops up in like episode 2, I believe, because he gets into this really bad battle and he's pretty wounded, so he has to have time to recuperate. So she just like pops up out of nowhere to take care of him. But it turns out Okiku used to be Otsuru, who is a little girl that he grew up with in his dojo. So Otsuru grows up, she becomes a spy, and then she changes her name to Okiku. And so the only reason why she basically pops up is because she's working for his ops. So she's there to basically betray him. So she betrays him by stealing his memories and siphoning his energy and his skills through his memories. And she like uploads them to a memory card on her cell phone to send to her boss. And he takes that to train his like soldiers so they can fight Afro Samurai. It's really trippy. But she's there for a couple of episodes, but y'all know she don't meet no good end by doing that. But it's really fascinating to see because even though we don't see Okiku anymore, we continue to see Otsuru through his memories throughout the rest of the show. So, yeah. Anyway, by the end of the show, Afro Samurai does manage to avenge his father's death, but the question is like, at what cost? And the answer is like everything. he loses his father to murder on one hand, but then on the other hand, he like turns around and in order to avenge him, and he murders everybody in his past and around him in his present to avenge that death. So really, it turns out to be like a lose-lose situation. And I think that that's the moral of the whole show, because they pretty much say it more than once throughout the episodes, like how destructive vengeance really is. It's a good show. So about Afro Samurai, the show is actually only 5 episodes long. And each episode is not even 30 minutes long. So altogether, if you watch them, it's about like 2.5, maybe 2.5 hours. So just like a long movie. And it's really worth it. But in addition to the show, they have the manga and they also have the movie Afro Samurai Resurrection, which is like a retelling of it, but like better. I thought about watching that, but watching that all together in one block was going to be too much for me. And it was a great introduction to me for seinen and for the martial arts centered anime. So I really loved it. And I'm glad that's the one that I opened up with for Black History Month. So I'll be coming with a couple more because you know there ain't that many of them. So yeah.